Yep, hello all. Yes, just starting work on Johnny's replica Nike mags, the AliExpress ones. This is just on here just for a token joke, just out of interest to see if this sticky backed 2mm EVA is strong enough to be used. Otherwise, I have to use the usual thing, which is basically glued on. But yes, they're not good basically. So it's good material, but just not sticky enough for this application. Anyway, the hot air gun's out, and as you can clearly see, I have loosened off the rubber. So on this particular pair, the rubber was so the glue was ultra sparingly. This actually came off so easy. Still got a lot of work to do in terms of scraping off all of the glue residue on here. So you need to get rid of all these glue residue if you can. Otherwise, when you put the panel in and you light it up, you literally see these blobs of glue through the panel. So yeah, I need to do a lot of work on that, but that's off nonetheless. That's off as well, which is excellent. One thing about this particular model being a new version with the flashing LEDs, so when you peel it open, it's actually got like additional connectors in there. There's white things. Normally you don't have connectors there at all. Normally it's just the wire straight through to here, and then you have connectors underneath. So that's obviously a new thing there. Or the person who's made it has put the connectors in a really weird place. And you can see here that when it was sealed, they added additional glue on there like that. So they obviously maybe bodged it. I'm not sure, but that's a part. The other one, same thing in here. Can't see any connectors in that one, and that's a part as well. So that will come off in a second. It's just sort of re-glued itself slightly. So, and you can sort of see on there that it's got bits like the paint sort of stuck on from the shoe. You know, we obviously put a big blob on there, so I need to take it off as well. But yeah, the next thing now for me is just basically to remove all the electronics carefully. So I've cut open a hole potentially down there, and then remove all the electronics. Electronics through to the sort of switch up here are normally sort of sewn in, so I always try and get electronics out carefully if I can. Obviously, if I can get them out as one piece, that's great, but I'm not too fussed about spending ages trying to get them out, because effectively they'll be no use to anyone. But yeah, let me crack on with those. Nice. Right, yes, here we go. So yep, I've just heated up the white panel there, just to basically break the glue, which you can sort of see the glue residue there. It really helps heating it up, and obviously you can now see the electronics which are in there. And then around the back is the switch plus the remote control sensor. Again, it's all going to come out. If I just switch it on, and you see, I mean, that's what you've got there. So yeah, I'll take all of that out, and I will try and get it out as carefully as I can, but like I mentioned, effectively it's good for sort of spares for somebody if they get ultra desperate. So that's that one. And yep, same with that one there. So now I'm going to basically just work out how I can try and get this stuff out. Basically, this piece here obviously runs all the way down there, and then it goes underneath or through that stitch, that black stitch there. So you basically have to cut away a couple of those stitches very carefully, the correct ones. And then you can then effectively push this back down and pull it out the bottom. And then, yeah, loosen off the LEDs in here, push this piece all the way around, and that's a kind of gist. But I don't want to spend hours, well, you know, ages doing that. I'll just give it a quick go. Cool. Right then, yes, so these are the looms I use. These are the 3-into-1 looms. Obviously, I'm using 3 EL panels into one power unit, the inverter. So that's what I'm using there. This is one I've just installed. So what I do is get the 3-in-1, these pieces here, effectively use something like this, because you've got a nice pointed end on there, and these pointed ends sit perfectly in the gaps there. Then obviously once you're in there, you can then go in here, and then you can go down, push 2 of these all the way down, right down the hole that was created from the original wiring, all the way down to the bottom. And then you can see there you've got your 2 ends coming out. Then I make a small slit here, which is directly opposite the hole, and that is for where your power wire would come through. So then effectively you can then push your power wire, which obviously is normally on this side, attached to the loom. You push it all the way through into there, and then obviously you have some excess wire which you then push back down here. And then you get obviously the 3rd piece. You then can just sort of fold it up and push it back down there as well. So, and then what I then do is you then got the connector, this piece here, which I then manipulate with my fingers and push it up here into this sort of position here, so that way it's out of the way of the person's ankles. Because if it's here, you know, you'd feel it with your ankles every time you put the shoe on. Might be pretty annoying. But up here, it's kind of in no man's land, so it shouldn't really affect anything. So you put it there, and then basically, yeah, just get in the best position you can, so get as much of the wire out at the bottom as you can. Some of the wire here can be folded around. You'll put an additional piece of rubber in there to take up that gap, but basically that wire in there will attach to the other panels, and then it will sort of fold up neatly in there. Put this down, job done. So you just got to say the connector part is there and a little bit of wire, you know, here. So that's what you need to do for that. And then what I then do is, for me, I always leave about this sort of level of wire sticking out the top, and then I'll put once I'm happy, I'll put a big old blob of clear glue in there just to hold it all in place so nothing sort of comes out. But I like to leave it about that sort of amount in there, because when you've got the power cable on and the inverter, you know, you've got about this much here, then you can tuck it into your sock if you're wearing it. So that's kind of the strategy for that. And otherwise, obviously, if it was down there, you know, it also might possibly just get knocked or keep being pretty annoying to the back of your ankle. So that's why it goes up there. Cool. Right, let me do the other shoe now. Right then, yes, hi all, quick update. So yeah, the shoes are looking really good. Spent a good number of hours on these yesterday. Now, thing to note, that these are actually size 8. So size 8 is basically like literally the smallest shoe you could use these panels on, I feel, because as you see, the panels all come in, these panels here come in one size, and basically they're designed for a size 11 shoe. So that's why on the size 11 they fit like really nicely in the middle. Obviously size 8, size 9, size 10, whatever, you're gradually sort of pulling it in. And I have to fit the panel here because the rubber parts, the rubber hole cutouts are underneath this. So if I did shift the panel any direction in any manner, or up or down or whatever, then you would see the holes for the rubber behind it. And I say the length of the panel, literally it touches that end. And I actually cut a thin little groove into the rubber there, just to sort of knock the very, very, very end into there on the size 8. And you see here they fit literally the entire length of the shoe on this side. So it's literally one end to one end. There's no wiggle room other than a tints a little bit up and down. That's it for those ones. In the past, what I have done, is I have folded over the connection here, and that way it allows me then to move the panel, you know, right a bit. But I had 2 failures about a year ago, I think it was, on people who have obviously been, you know, did the shoes, they worked, sent them away, they then wore them, and then after a number of weeks and months, I'm not exactly sure, but ultimately the panels failed where they snapped on the connector, where there's obviously too much sort of pressure under your foot there, pushing down on that sort of area when they're being worn. So I said to myself, I'm not having this, I have to fit them this way, because otherwise, you know, they have to send it back to me, I've sent it back to them, I have to get a new panel, fit it. It's a load of work to reopen up these, and money as well, of course, to do it for free, you know. So hence where I fit them completely flat, so this should be the most reliable position there. So yeah, just something to point out, but they look really good. I've got the wiring looms in, glued these aspects in last night, so they'll be nice and set with the clear glue. And again, I put the rubber sort of connector area, you know, shoved it up here basically, so it's out the way of the ankle. So that's good. Shoes, again, the straps are just on temporarily, so you can basically see how the straps look. So obviously, you know, if you buy the Air Mag King straps, they have the panels inside. The panels are very, very flexible, very lightweight, and of course they curve on the 3.1 shoe, but on the AliExpress shoe, because of the design of it and how flat it is here, and obviously how it sort of pulls away and all the rest of it, they just sit flat. But obviously they look really good when they're on. So what I'll be doing is I've marked up, put the straps on. I made sure I've got the clasps on the inside of both shoes. I've just marked up the central position here, just measured it, marked it up in a bit of pencil, and then done the same for the other strap. And ultimately I've used my template, which I've got here, which I've just checked, you know, and made it nice and neat as I can and tight over the knife as possible. Double check this, because these are sided, just to make sure that it's in the right position there. And yeah, the strap and the cable comes out here, just to make sure you don't cock it up, you know, because obviously once you cut it, that's it. And then put the template on, and then ultimately cut it out of a brand new blade. And you'd be surprised, you have to go over this thing about 50 times, I would say, because obviously you don't want to go through the other side of it. It's about 50 cuts, I would say, all in order to be able to get this out, because you can't just smash it through quickly. It's not something you can just do, and obviously you want to get it neat as possible as well. So that's in. And again, I mentioned many videos before that the gap here, see the panel, goes on top of the cotton mark here. So unfortunately you can't remove the cotton, otherwise it looks shit from the other side, because you have all this area here with, say, no cotton in, or comes apart, all this dog shit basically. So what you have to do is you basically have to cut a line in here and then insert the panel from underneath and then poke the wiring back through here. So you basically have a cut line at the bottom here where you have to insert the panel that way from the back. So that's what I do anyway. So there's no drama, but that is the best technique for the size of the panel. Obviously, if these panels, in the future are, 2 to 3 millimeters narrower, then we can probably get them in between here. But again, it all depends on if these guys AliExpress change the style of the strap. They might decide in the future to glue them together rather than stitching them together. Who knows? So we'll just deal with what we've got. So yes, I'm going to cut the other panel out now, and so they'll strap out now. Then I can basically insert these, get them glued, get them pegged up, and then they'll be good to use once they've all dried out tomorrow. Cool, cheers. Right then, yes, so this is an important one that I want to show everyone. So basically the panels themselves are amazing, but they're ever so slightly technically too big for the straps. When you have the fact that when you've got the stitch line on them, obviously you don't have a stitch line on them like you do on the Air Mag King ones, then obviously the panels are the perfect size. But with the stitch versions, which the AliExpress ones come with, they're ever so slightly big. The guys have made hundreds and hundreds of these, so there's no chance of getting these smaller until that stock diminishes. So for the next year or however many years, we're stuck with this side here. But saying that, these are amazing panels, good quality, bright, all that sort of stuff. So we have to make do with what we can do. So what I do to make this work, and I feel this is the optimal way, bear in mind this isn't finished yet, I've just sort of put it in as a mock-up. I need to sort of detail the edges, but basically I have myself a template that obviously I've made up of a piece of material in previous shoes, which just covers the Nike and gives me a little bit of a gap all the way around, which is what you want. You want it quite tight. Now, and obviously I then put the strap on the shoe, mark the central position with a piece of with a bit of pencil, and then put this on here, take the strap off, put my template on, and then what I do is I put it on the chopping board and go around with a brand new blade every time and score around the edges and have a little cut through, and then after then go through it multiple times really carefully as not to cut through the back, and then I can then peel the new piece out. So that's good. Now to actually get this to install is you could cut away all the stitches and then peel it open and then put the panel in and then seal it up, but then you'd have all these little stitch holes here with no thread in, because obviously the thread will be bare and it will just pull out. So honestly, I feel that this is potentially the neatest way to, apart from using the Air Mag King straps, is I then very carefully slice through the opposite side, as you can see here, little bit at a time, because also I want to get the panel positioned centrally and not be moving around, and put the panel in like that. And then of course, once it's in that, I can then position it, exactly where I want it, get it all lined up, etc. Then put some glue on the back and some glue underneath here and here, peg it, and then obviously just glue it into position. And then I can then go around and sort of neatly cut up, the little fray marks there with the blade afterwards, because you can sort of like score onto this. It doesn't scratch very easily, this stuff here. So that is the technique that I use, and I feel that is the best technique other than buying the much more expensive straps. And then on the back here, I then put a little bit, I then obviously once it's sealed up, I then put a little run of white paint on the top and bottom, and that's all I can do. And then of course I can then attach the strap, the cable's going through there, attach the strap back onto there, clamp it all up, do my little cut through here to put the end of the cable through, job done. So it's basically a lot of effort, but you get the idea from that. Once I say positioned it, you get the idea that that's going to look as best as you can do from cutting up a strap. Cool. Hope that's of some use to people, and great. All the best. Right, yeah, quick action bit on this. So as you can see, that's looking pretty damn good, I would say. So what I do is I always use cardboard on there as well as quite strong clips to hold it in place, because obviously I pulled it ever so slightly apart just to get it in, you know, what I would consider the best position I can. And if you don't use gentle clips, or you don't use bits of cardboard like that, and you leave that for, you know, an hour or two, for example, to blatantly make sure it's dried, you will get marks in the leatherette from these style clips. You will get little indentations, so be really careful to do that. You can use pegs, wooden pegs, but again, I would still use some cardboard just to protect the leatherette, because again, this is a key thing. You know, when you're looking at the shoe, you know, you want to sort of look around the whole shoe and not see anything blatant, you know. And so these straps, you know, get them looking as nice as you can, and that's a technique there. So again, I still need to sort of score the edges just in there in a bit afterwards, but I'm really pleased with that. So I put a little bit of glue. I always use this glue here because it applies so nice and neatly through the spout, so you can get in there really carefully and gently, and you get some time obviously to wiggle and move it around, and then when it does dry, it's really solid. So yeah, so I use an entire tube of that on a pair of shoes. Cool. So now I'll crack on with the other one, and that's looking really nice. Right, yeah, hi all. So yeah, what the plan is now is I'm going to go outside with and use the Dremel tool basically to remove all the crap, or basically all the old glue marks which are on there. Obviously you can see some paint there, you can see some blatant glue marks there, but I'll go over the whole thing, you know, like that, some corner stuff there, and get rid of anything, because all of those bits there will shine through the new superior light system. And then on the other shoe, and you can sort of see remains on kind of all over it, basically all over that. There's all the glue. So yeah, I can literally go over it with the Dremel, remove all of that, clean it up, brush it up, and then that can be sealed. I'm not going to bother filming this. It's on my other videos, but it's too cold outside, and my phone's getting low on juice, so I need to keep it on charge, you know, whilst I'm on my break, you know. But yeah, I'll do that, and then once that's sorted, I can then paint the edges here and the middle part. Get that painted up, get that sort of basically hidden, so you kind of can't see those bits there. And then once that's dry, then, you know, 3 or 4 hours time, I can then glue that back up again, and then leave it overnight, and then that's good for that section. Cool. Right, let me get on with it. Right then, yes, so I've just done that outside. So obviously I could bring it inside where it's a little bit darker, so you can see what the work you've done. So again, I've looked over this in detail here. I can't see any blatant lumps of glue anymore. It's all even. Obviously, you'll never get this shiny, perfect mint, because this is not that sort of material, but you can get it really even all the way across. And obviously, I've removed some of the tape. I'll remove all the rest of it in a minute once I think it's good. And then you can basically put it on there, and then you can just obviously see if you've got any blatant blobs of glue, glue on here, or specks of dirt or whatever. Because obviously you want nothing on there before you seal that thing up. So I will check that out in a minute properly, but that looks really good. Next up is also the bubble as well. So whilst I was out there with this shoe, I also neatened up the hole for the bubble. Again, using exactly the same Dremel tool. So this fits nicely. But you can't remove too much, because obviously you can't remove anything from the top section. Otherwise you'll see the white rubber, obviously. So it all has to be done from the inside or from underneath. So you can't do too much. You know, just do what you can, but don't remove too much. Again, you can see the bubbles are amazing. They never come perfect. This one's got a bit of frosting at the top, a little bit of a mark here. You can see no marks here. So that's just how they come. This one here looks very good. A bit of frosting on the top sort of section there. It's just how they are potluck basically. But yeah, that looks good. So I'll do a little bit of fine tuning on that. That's just a little speck there. I'll take that off in a minute. That's just that will just peel off. And then yeah, then the panel can go back in afterwards. And the panels are, in my opinion, very, very tricky to fit. You know, because of course you want to get the panel as dead centered to this as you can, then glue the whole thing down and glue the panel in place as well. So it's really difficult. So I normally come in underneath with some tweezers and try and grab hold of this whilst I sort of position it. But it is a tricky thing to line up, like in a really, really good way. So just a few information, but I'm really happy with that. So that looks cool. So yeah, I'll neaten up this bit here a little bit more now, work on the other shoe, then double check it all. Then these can be painted as well in a minute, and then back together tonight. Cool. Right, and yep, I'm very, very pleased with those two. So I've done all the removing there using Dremel and my usual clean implement. Round here as well, just neatened it up and widened it ever so slightly at the back. but like I mentioned, you can't take too much off, otherwise you will see blatant white. So taking a little bit off the back and neatened it up there, just following the shape basically of what's roughly there. It's not much of a shape, but that's followed. So that's done. Brushed it out, got all the dust off. That's cool. So now I'm going to get the paint brushes out and the paint, and basically paint the white section here and the end part there to try and, you know, as best as you can, blend in the light slightly with the grey that's in there. And then I'll paint it grey, and then I'll also add a few speckles in there as well to make it a little bit, you know, matching this slightly using a little toothpick. So yeah, that's the plan, and then that can just dry for a few hours, and I can glue it on, double check it works, glue it back down again, and that'll do for today. Cool. Right, and yes, so that's the grey and silver aspect added. So I'm actually going to leave this now for a few hours, and then I can then dot this paint on to make the speckles look good. And then I'm actually going to leave this because I've run out of time for today, because it's getting towards the end of the day now and it's getting cold and all that sort of stuff. And what I'll then do is I'll then let it dry overnight, and then I'll then glue this piece here back on tomorrow night, when I know that it's absolutely, all the paint's absolutely gone off and stuff. Same for that one on the side there as well. So that'll look good. So at least that'll just sort of disguise the panel by having that additional paint on and make it, you know, a bit less obvious that there's a panel there. Cool. Right. Excellent. Right, here we go. So yeah, this will be the final one for this particular video. So as you can see, I have just added some additional spots down here on top of the grey silver there. So that's would look good once it's covered up. That'll look really good. So I'm happy with that. Looks kind of like similar, you know, to all the spots on here. So I'm pleased with that aspect. The straps as well, you can see they're hanging up now, just to sort of, you know, keep shape whilst they're drying. So on the back side here, I've cut out the little slit there. Obviously poked the cable through. As you can clearly see, put lots of decent high quality glue on there, and again put the cardboard on there to stop these things here digging in and marking the leatherette. And up here, you need to get one of these. I've just lifted up this piece here and this piece here, and inserted a thin line of the strong glue in there, and just around the edges here basically. And again on the back, I've done the similar. I've lifted up the back as well and put a little line on there, and then once that's dry and I'm happy with it, it's stuck, I can then add a thin layer of white paint, like I mentioned, along the back on both sides, and then that will give me honestly the most neatest strap that I could do with what I've been given. Same for that side there. So that's good. Back onto the shoes as well. I've also inserted the panels underneath there. So what I've done, as you see, I've got the peg on it there. What I've done is I glued in earlier, I can't remember if I said this or not, but I glued in earlier the bubble a couple of hours ago roughly, and then I moved the panel into position using a combination of long nose pliers and tweezers. And then when it's in the ultimate position, the best position, I then held it there with my finger and then applied 2 types of glue. So this glue here on the back, which has the long spout, that I can get in there and put some glue on around the back, and then basically I smeared a blob of this glue here, the impact adhesive around the front, and that way I can leave it like that, exactly like that, overnight until tomorrow night. And then if it's all sweet and still, you know, in the exact right position, then I can then glue down this piece here plus this piece here tomorrow night. But I want to leave that until it's absolutely firm, because this is so annoying, you know, when you glue this thing here down and then you find the panel's moved, and then you're really tricky to move it. If I switch it on, boom, like that. So bear in mind the lights on here as well, so that's the best position you can get those lights at the back, I feel, and that's gonna look really nice as well down there. Cool, that's that one there. And again, this one here, switch it on at the back, boom, nice. So yeah, I'm literally not going to touch that, because I don't want those to move at all, not in a millimetre. And then yeah, that's all sweet. Cool, thanks all. That's the end of the second video, and I'll do another video later. Cheers.